passport office in FESTAC, a suburb of Lagos, has become the latest one to start rolling out enhanced e-passports. It's another move towards making identification in Nigeria more secure, but there are concerns about Nigeria's traditional bureaucratic difficulties that will outweigh the benefits. So our RISE correspondent Adefemi Akisonya reports.
FESTAC Passport Office is celebrating the rolling out of enhanced e-passports. At first glance, the document doesn't look much different, but Assistant Controller General of Nigerian Immigration Services, Doris Brimer, says there are a lot of upgrades.
One of the most notable difference between the two passports is the security, and that has to do with the link with the national identity number. So that is, if you have nothing to take away, just take that one away, and that is very vital. Yes, the new enhanced e-passport has the polycarbonate, which preserves it's a preservative material, so it's more resistant to weather. Is a link with the national identity number, and that is what we are. Even if you notice that NIMC today is insisting that everyone should go and get registered and have the national ID number. So we were way ahead of many others when the Controller General, Mr. Muhammad Babandide, thought that it is necessary that we link up with NIMC.
I asked if the enhanced e-passport would reduce waiting times and bureaucracy.
Absolutely, because one of the advantages again is to reduce interface. So with this one, you have the ability to fill your forms and do every necessary thing you need to do in the comfort of wherever you are, in your homes or in your offices. Those can be done. All you need to do is to do all procedures by yourselves and then come to the passport office and get captured. So this one is much easier, and the bureaucracy is reduced because the website is enhanced.
Despite the high spirits, there is the undeniable history of poor customer service in administrative centres. But Deputy Controller Adiola Adeshokon says that that's a thing of the past.
Some couple of weeks ago, precisely October 6th, I was deployed there. And the Controller General, Muhammad Babandide MFR, wanted a better service for the public. One thing, the tool he gave us to come and deploy in FESTAC is hostmanship, taking applicants as our guests and making passport office more welcoming. If you have been here previously, you will see that there's a lot of rebranding and restructuring in FESTAC. You can see it, we can feel it, including fresh paints. Just to make this place conducive for applicants to sit down at the comfort of a processing hall and be able to get services. We are here to welcome them. Particularly in FESTAC office, we don't call them applicants. We don't call them Nigerians, we call them our guests. And you can agree with me. If you call somebody your guest, you will make your home more welcoming. So from the gates, it's a welcoming terrain, welcoming environment for people. And officers are being trained every Thursday to ensure that we treat our applicants as guests, be treated the way you want to be treated.
I present to you your new enhanced e-passport.
And that's a view supported by one of the first Nigerians to receive an enhanced e-passport.
Actually very easy, surprisingly easy if I might add. It took all of 2 minutes really. The capturing, the filling, the form payment, it did not take any time whatsoever. I just really hope, they maintain the standard they've set.
In addition to the passports, the building has also been enhanced. As a group of immigration officers take a tour of the grounds, many believe they're walking towards a better, brighter and safer future. Adefemi Akinsanya, Arise News, Lagos.
Quite an interesting report there, but Adesua, you had an experience with passport application recently. What was your experience like?
That was about a year ago, though, and that wasn't in FESTAC. I've not been to FESTAC, so I cannot attest to the services changing or what it looks like previously before now. Mine was at the Koyi passport. It was the regular bureaucracy, you know, having to know someone or, you know, you either wait the long queues. But the e-passport, I'm a bit confused now because my passport is also enhanced. It had the NIN number and, of course, the barcode. The pages are different. They're not regular paper pages that we have. So I'm a bit confused as to if this is a new passport that we are rolling out.
Well, I guess the major challenge, it's good to hear the Immigration Service saying that bureaucracy has been reduced and that the turnaround time for you to get your passport is much better now, because many Nigerians who are legitimately entitled to getting a passport talk about a lot of nightmares going to immigration office. Biometrics will need to be taken. The process is cumbersome. And there's a lot of corruption. Yes. And we hope that the Controller General of Immigration will tackle that problem of corruption. Because when you try to get a passport, oftentimes people come back and they report that they are treated at immigration passport offices as if they're being done a favor. Yes. Whereas, you know, as citizens, they have the basic right to get a passport. That's the first part of it. The second part of it, she says the service will be better, and that, you know, they no longer refer to people looking for passport as applicants, but as guests of the Immigration Service. We hope that this is not an isolated case at the FESTAC Passport Office, which is a very popular one. I know they have another one in Koyi, they have another one in Ikeja. But now they say, you know, the e-passport is available. It's not new. They've been doing this e-passport thing before now. But I think what is new is the fact that you are now required to supply an NIN number, national identification. Well, what we have now is that Nigerians are under pressure with the banks, with the telecoms, insisting on your NIN number, and also now immigration insisting on your NIN number. But except that with immigration, the pressure may not be that much because you can get your passport when it is convenient for you. So we hope this is not isolated, that every passport office across the country will be a service center. Now, before now, immigration was talking about doing a documentation of aliens in Nigeria. You know, I don't know where they are, you know, with that, and, you know, whether they've made a lot of progress in that regard, because the Nigerian passport is so easy for you. Anybody, whether you are from Nigeria or if you are from Senegal, once you bear a Nigerian sounding name, you can get the passport. The third challenge, or is it the fourth now, is the fact that booklets are never available. We're told that, okay, yes, you know, you can apply, it's easier, but they also have to make sure that those booklets are available, because that in itself is a major issue. And that is the basic source of corruption in passport office, because the same booklets that they say have not arrived from Abuja, if you do PR, as we call it in Nigeria, you'll be surprised that that same booklet will come out. So these are the challenges, but if it is easier for people to get their passports, that would be a great thing indeed, and immigration department should be given, or immigration service should be given every necessary support.
And if I took a poll around, for instance, the office, and I asked everybody who had a passport how much they got their passport, I'm almost certain that I will hear different prices. Oh, yeah. That is another problem. There's never a certain price, I mean, price.
It shows the massive corruption that goes on there, massive, of biblical proportion that goes on there. And that's why I
Is there corruption in the Bible?
No. When you say biblical proportion that goes on in the Bible.
Beware of blasphemy. This is the week of Christmas.
Okay, the week of Christmas. That goes on there. That's why I looked when that woman, when the deputy controller was saying, oh, everything is fine and people are guests. I said, no, that's not true. People are clients. Almost all the officers there have personal clients that push their paper here and there, and corruption holds sway. And you know, what shocks me the most is that when this corruption goes on, then government now puts an office there called Servicom to be able to regulate them if they are corrupt. But I make bold to say that even the Servicom that is supposed to regulate that is even in connivance with these people. So everybody works hand in hand. It's a big racket that is going out there. And that's why I am shocked. Maybe they are just launching this. Maybe it's a new approach, but is it not the customs I know? It's a big, big racket. Immigrations I know. I renewed my passport only last 2 weeks.
Okay.
You're talking about, let's even do a comparison on price at this one. How much did you pay for renewal?
I said last year, I think I did mine about a bit over 50,000 naira.
I paid,
that's for the 5 years.
I paid 73,000 naira plus. They said I had to rearrange my name in NIN. I paid 73,000.
Yeah, but what is the regular price? 15,000.
It's supposed to be 15,000.
Yes.
So you can see the disparity.
Differ.
Yeah, and the years differ.
There's the 10 years, there's the 5 years.
There's the 5 years. Did you do the 10 years?
No, I did the 5 years.
I did the 5 years too.
And
So you can see the disparity in price. So you are pretty much at the mercy of whoever is trying to carry your file around, is what they bill you. And that's what we should look. They said the process is great. You can just go online. How easy is it to go? The drudgery, the backlog, the fact that you have to go through pain. Take, for instance, NIMSI website crashed yesterday. Oh, in the spirit of you can go online and register. The website has crashed. Who's going to fix it?
They have refuted that it didn't crash.
Well, it didn't crash.
They are working
So
on it.
even how easy is it? But Femi, in her report yesterday, wonderful report, tried going online, registering online for NIMSI, and when she got to the center, what did they tell her? Then you have to come and fill the form you filled online. So anyway, those are the things we should look at.
To get a passport in Nigeria or to renew your passport, it's usually easier if you have an agent. Every passport office staff is more or less an agent.
And that's why we are clients,
from
not
the
guests.
gate man to the man who takes your biometrics. If you have an agent, it could be easier.
Yes.
The passport will show up. The only punishment is that you pay a higher fee. However, now that they say that you have to go to a portal, I think it's called portal.immigration.gov.ng. Okay, I've taken a look at the form, the application form. It looks simple enough, and that's important because some applications, you see a form you have to fill that will take you like 30 minutes. It's like you are taking an exam. But we must praise them for simplifying that form, making it easy. However, you talked about the NIMSI portal crashing. We hope also that we won't be applicants won't be faced with this old perennial problem of system crashing. System is always down or is crashing or there's no internet at passport offices. And that's one thing that the Controller General and the directors at the state levels should also pay attention to. If they say they are now providing quality service and they treat us as guests, not applicants or customers, then the process from filling the form and going to the office for biometric documentation should be made smooth and easy.
Dr. Abati, another point I don't understand, maybe they will explain it to me, the immigration people, is the fact that every time you're renewing your passport, you have to do biometrics all over again. But they have an existing biometrics in their database. Why do you have to do biometric all over? Because I think it should be something that when you are renewing, they should be able to get your biometric, get all your details you have before, and print a new passport to you, and even mail it to your postal address.
The system is always down, or it's always crashing. Most convenient.
Or upgraded.
Doctor, let's go.
When they upgrade it, they might use your biometric.
Every time I renew my passport, I'm sure passport office has over 15 of my biometrics. They keep getting my biometrics.
They will get better.
After there, some people will say, "Would you put 10 fingers there?"
Don't worry.
or maybe your fingers keep changing.
Keep changing. Every time my fingerprints keep. That's all on News Headline. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we have Rotus Michael Adesuwa Morwa here in Kenya to give us updates on Africa global business, COVID-19, and sporting activities across the world. Stay with us. welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. Everything business, we go to Rotus. Rotus, good morning, the businessman.
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Adesoa, and good morning, Doctor. So look, it's Christmas period, and people have to be, we're giving a warning today to be careful of double-digit return on investment schemes. Take a look at a tweet here. This says, this morning at MBA Forex office in Port Harcourt, River State, you can now see a crowd of people outside an office. For those that don't know, MBA Forex is an investment scheme that offers people double-digit returns. They cleverly use MBA, which is a Master's in Business Administration, and then attach that to Forex, which a lot of people are I get questions all the time about trading Forex every single time, and I tell people it's very, very risky. So they put the two names together, they offer an academy, and they also offer returns. Well, apparently, they've not been able to pay those returns, and this was pictures of people that were waiting outside their offices trying to get their money back. Let's take a look at a letter that they sent out to their investors. They sent out a letter saying okay, well, this is the letter. Let's now zoom in, take a look at the second part of the letter. I can zoom in a little closer. This is their ad. This is the ad where they offer up to 15% returns. But the letter essentially states that we are experiencing delays. And yeah, there it is. So we wish to express our apologies for all inconvenience caused as a result of delayed payments. We assure you that no return on capital will be lost as we speedily work towards resolving all delays, and we solicit for your patience as we work towards a better service in 2021. This is the interesting part. We also wish to bring to your notice that due to the holidays, our offices will be closed from the 21st of December and will reopen operations on the 5th of January. Then they say payments and validations will still be ongoing. To my knowledge, they didn't close last year and they didn't close the year before. They've been around for, I think, about 2 or 3 years. So the thing is this, what I try to advise people every time is that if an investment scheme is offering you 15% returns, you have to ask yourself, in the marketplace, where else can I get 15%? Are treasury bills doing 15%? Are savings accounts on banks doing 15%? Are federal government bonds doing 15%? No, they are not. So you have to ask yourself, what is this company doing to be able to earn a return in excess of 15-16% to pay me back that kind of money, where they can also earn a profit as well? Well,
Rotus, sorry to interrupt you. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then when we return, we'll come back to you.
Right. So, Rotus, we'll come back to you. More business update, Rotus.
Yes. Okay. So again, one more time, this MBA Forex business, we saw the crowds outside their offices. I mean, for just any viewers that are just tuning in, there is investment schemes that people need to be wary of, especially when they're offering double-digit returns. So this crowd you're looking at is in Port Harcourt. These are apparently MBA Forex investors who have been promised returns of 15%. And I was saying before the break that if you see any of these schemes, alarm bells have to go off, because you have to look at the marketplace and say, where else can I earn 15%? Is it on a savings account? Savings accounts are not paying that. Treasury bills are not paying that. Corporate bonds are not paying that. Federal government sovereign bonds are not paying that. So you cannot, if you cannot see that a similar threshold of investment returns, then you have to be wary. Also, you have to ask the company, what are you doing that earns this type of returns? What kind of business are you involved in? And then for the Ponzi alarm schemes, to tell you why, when you get a letter like this, because they sent out a letter to investors saying we can't make payments anymore. Ponzi schemes depend on continuous inflows. So person A invests, they take that investment from person A, and when person B comes in, they take out the investment person A puts in and pay returns to person B, and then take person B's investment and pay person C, D, E, and it continues like that in that chain. When the inflows stop, and there's no new investors coming in, the deck of cards falls down and they can no longer make continuous payments because it's just a recycling. So that's the reason why you tend to see these letters when they say, oh, well, sorry, we can't make any payments, offices and all. This happened with MMM like 3 or 4 years ago. So it's really unfortunate, but it's just a message to everyone to, I know the economy is tough. People are looking for get rich quick schemes. They're trying to make money as quickly as possible. But, you know, Forex traders are skilled traders who sit in front of 4, 5, 6 monitors looking for price differentials, arbitrage between different currencies. And that's how they make their money. They make gains, they make losses. There's no guarantee. If you are ever offered a absolute guarantee in an investment, something is wrong. So I hope these folks get their money back.
Rotus, I mean, you've mentioned the economy as a factor, but when you look at the population that is affected by the general economy, and you look at the population of those who are affected by this Ponzi scheme, you have to ask the question, what is fueling the appetite? Is it only the economy, or are we also looking at greed, gullibility? What exactly is it? Because, I mean, we're all affected by the economy.
You are spot on. You are spot on. The tough times of the economy are there. So there's the poverty issue where people are trying to make money. But this is why you are correct. Greed is also part of it as well, and vulnerability. So there needs to be more financial advocacy, more financial literacy to inform people to be wary of these types of things. You're absolutely right.
But Rotus, I think the important point is the caveat emptor that you entered, which is buyer beware, and that there are no guarantees on return on investment. And of course, Nigerians are very desperate, as you have said, because of greed, because of poverty. If MMM were to launch out big, on a bigger scale, you'll be surprised. Despite what happened a few years back, people will still embrace the MMM Ponzi scheme. I mean, look at people rushing to Bitcoin. Right. There's also a Ponzi scheme dimension to that. But I need you to clarify something for us. I understand that there are Forex brokers who are registered and who are licensed by the central bank and who may be doing legitimate business, because you've talked about this MBA Forex. Now, so that we don't confuse the two. People. So you need to explain to us, I guess, you know, those Forex brokers and how those ones that are licensed and registered by the CBN are different from these ones that are engaged in speculative calo business, as we say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Doctor. And that's what I said earlier, that Forex trading is a highly skilled area. Like I said, they sit in front of monitors for hours on end looking for price differentials between different currencies where they can profit off of. So you're correct. It is a legitimate enterprise, but it is risky. So that's the thing. When someone tells you that you can get a guaranteed return in trading in Forex, you have to be wary, because it is risky. Even the best highly skilled Forex trader, they make losses just as they make gains. So the key thing is that thank you, Doctor. It is legitimate, but when someone starts offering you guarantees, then you know that something is wrong, because they can't give you 100% guarantee of wins all the time.
All right, Rotus. I mean, I remember the words of an actor, Gordon Gekko, in the movie Wall Street Money Never Dies, that said greed is good, right, and he finally went to jail. Greed is fueling all of this. Right. And please, I would also like to call on people influential in societies, like religious leaders, you know, of various people across faith, maybe Christians or Muslims, not to encourage them to go into this Ponzi scheme because they are endorsing it. I remember the thing about MMM was sold in most religious houses that time. In fact, they said it was God's way of empowering people. And they sold it to a lot of people. I remember in fellowships, Christian fellowships, they sold MMM to people. And they say it's people helping people. And it's quite sad how people were fretted off their money and their hard-earned currency. So there's pervasive greed in society, and we should do the needful. And influential people too should not support this. And celebrities too. Right. Should not endorse all these 100% return on investment Greek schemes and all sorts of pyramidal schemes everywhere, as named after the famous Charles Ponzi that started all of this scheme in the early 1900s, all right? Thank you so much for your time. Moving on to Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from London.
You listen to Rotus. If it looks too good to be true and sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. It's quite simple. That's it. Do not get involved in anything to do with Bitcoin, foreign exchange, or anything to do. Remember that people who are doing this professionally have a much bigger picture, many more screens than you do. Do not get involved. That's all I'd say about that. Let us start with the United States rather differently this morning. And President Trump, who's been relatively quiet, has now lashed out at the fiscal stimulus bill that we were talking about yesterday and says it's far too low. He says that the amount of $600 into each person's pocket is effectively derisory. He's thinking that it ought to be $2,000. Well, that's fine. But he's also been looking at the fine print of the stimulus bill and looking at things like foreign aid from the United States. And further complicating that is the omnibus part of it, which is the $1.4 trillion government funding bill for 2021. And he is actually saying, I'm not going to sign this off, which may mean that from December the 28th, then the US government will effectively shut down. However, Asia thinks it's a bluff, and markets have gone into still in what they look at as the green there, which is their positive side of things. And they think that Congress will quickly get its votes together. Nikkei up slightly, Kospi in South Korea up about 0.75%, Shanghai up about 0.5%. But here's an important thing in China. The recovery is not complete there. Their top executive body, the State Council, has said that small and medium and micro-sized enterprises can defer loan repayments for the first quarter of next year, and also bank lending to these small businesses will get government help to around about 40% of the loans. So in other words, that's their equivalent of a furlough scheme. It's slightly differently phrased, but it's quite important to understand that whenever we get these figures out of China, they are saying one thing. They're certainly saying that there's a recovery going on there and they're doing relatively well. But when they start to worry about small and medium-sized businesses, which are, like they are in most countries, the absolute backbone of economies, not like the multinationals who go their own way because they can and they straddle various countries, but the ones that are the actual nitty-gritty little companies in an economy, then we need to take notice of that. So in Europe, then, sentiment greatly improved, although there's that variant of coronavirus is still being discussed on our news program. You know, how important is it, etc., etc. The scientists are obviously not speaking with one voice about that. But the fears that the US would be, the UK rather, would be cut off from the continent. Everybody thought that probably wasn't going to happen, and good heavens, they were absolutely right, because this morning UK borders are to open again, as the doctor was saying yesterday, and I thought it was a very interesting comment. I wonder if what we're seeing about this is something of, a taste of things to come from France, because they've now agreed to something they were not going to agree to, which is their lorry drivers having quick mass testing on those queues that you saw on the M20 that Reuters showed you yesterday. And it's a lateral flow test. The result is texted in 30 minutes. Those purists would disagree, would say that it's not actually a very good test, but nevertheless, it's getting things moving. But there will be many people who will not be reunited with their families this Christmas. Next Christmas may be better. Maybe we should celebrate it as Easter. Sterling continues, obviously, its volatile course, and they're pricing in the Brexit trade deal success. Yeah, believe it or not, that's what they're trading in at the moment. Failure combined with low holiday liquidity will mean that sterling will falter probably, but who knows? Commodities, oil's retreat continues. That's down to API crude inventories, which showed a surprise climb. Also the usual gloom about COVID and so on, and demand, etc. And gold is just really trading within a range. It's not getting above the $1,900. It fell to about $1,860 an ounce overnight, and it's partially got up to $1,865. Day ahead, well, because of the shortened week, we get the US continuing jobless claims later today. Could spike above 900,000. That won't be a big surprise, simply because more and more people are out of their jobs. And that stimulus plan, of course, has not happened yet. Can't stress that enough. Personal spend is expected to fall very, very slightly. We're really waiting on what happens politically now in the United States. That's the global view.
Well, Mike, 3 quick things. Now that Monsieur Roadblock, President Macron, has, changed his mind about the lockdown, along the channel and the tunnel, what is the cost? You were optimistic yesterday that this is likely to happen. But what is the cost? We also understand that there's been some agreement between the UK and France. Do we know the full details of that agreement in terms of how to move forward with this concern about the new strain in the United Kingdom? Then Vietnam. Last week, Vietnam was labeled along with the Netherlands as a currency manipulator by the United States. But this week, we now have Vietnam placing a 5-year ban on steel products from China. China is Vietnam's largest trading partner, and they don't necessarily have the best of relationships. Does this have anything to do with the response from the United States? And what kind of backlash are we likely to get from China in the direction of Vietnam? And then finally, President Trump saying that the stimulus bill is an unsuitable disgrace. I find it curious because initially I thought it was the Senate Republicans opposing a large package. And now President Trump is saying, oh, you should even increase the paychecks to families and individuals. Is he trying to upstage Joe Biden, who had said by yesterday that he was going to ask for bigger direct payments to families and individuals? And then he says his government is the next government. How?
Trump.
There's a lot there, Doctor. I'll try and do it quickly. Right, President Trump, first of all, yes, political posturing. Number 2, what's the cost of the tunnel closing and then opening again? I don't know what the financial cost is, but I wrote this down. Its crisis is bad for trust and also post-Brexit trade. That's what I feel about that. As far as currency manipulation is concerned, once again, I said to you last week, it depends who's calling this, to be honest. Most big central banks could be accused of currency manipulation by the fact that they can actually, particularly China, for example, it can increase or decrease the rate at which people trade its currency by buying it or not themselves, by the central bank buying it not also making a, if there isn't that much yuan around, then the price of it goes up. That's what they do. But there's always been this worry about what they call a race to the bottom as far as currencies are concerned, because if you've got a cheap currency, it means that it boosts your exports. It's desperation because it's really difficult to climb out of that. So I suspect that Vietnam is probably game playing with China in the same way that the United States does. It's that sort of business that you look at from outside, really. You don't want to get involved because these are such big issues that really people, they don't worry about them too much because most big businesses have hedged the bets in any case. If they're not, then they need to fire their chief financial officers because most big businesses would have hedged this properly. And your 4th point was, what haven't I covered?
About the roadblock being lifted.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, as I say, I feel as though I think you were quite right to be cynical about that. I think what that was a bit of flexing of the muscles from the French, saying, if you don't cede to our demand, if you don't cede to EU demands.
All right, for updates on COVID-19 pandemic, Adeso Moro is here. Adeso?
Thank you,
stories.
Rufai. Yeah, so the global numbers, as usual, 642,206 cases of COVID-19 were recorded yesterday across the globe. Unfortunately, another 14,206 deaths were also recorded, bringing the total infections to 78 million. If you do have the tallies from the Johns Hopkins University, 77.9. New York Times is reporting 78 million at the moment, but we'll go with the Johns Hopkins University tally. That's 77.9, very close to the 78 million tally. Unfortunately, I can no longer say Antarctica is the only continent without COVID-19 because the continent, which is the last of the 7 on Earth, has recorded cases of COVID-19. 36 new infections among people stationed at a Chilean research base. They include 26 members of the Chilean army and 10 maintenance workers. The news comes just days after Chile's Navy confirmed 3 cases on a ship which had taken supplies and personnel to the research station. So every continent on Earth has now recorded COVID-19 cases. Away from that, drug makers Pfizer and Moderna are monitoring the situation with the new variants reported in different countries. They say they are testing their vaccines to see if they work against the mutated variant of the COVID-19 virus. And, of course, that which was found in the UK, in South Africa, Netherlands, and some other countries. Both companies say they are confident that their vaccines provide enough cover. But the BioNTech CEO, Ugur Sahin, says more research is needed and that, if necessary, the vaccine could be re-engineered in a matter of 6 weeks. And that's partly due to the technology used to develop the vaccine, the RNA technology, which we know both vaccines by Pfizer and Moderna used. It's a new technology, and they said they don't need to go through all the hurdle to remake the vaccines from scratch, which would take so long. It's just to re-engineer it, and that will take only 6 weeks. And talking about long streaks that have been broken, let's go to Taiwan, where the country's world-leading run of 253 days of not recording any local transmission has now ended. That's because diagnosis of a close contact of a foreign pilot who traveled with infections was reported. Health authorities said the woman in her 30s had tested positive. She is, again, the first local transmission since the 12th of April in Taiwan. She was confirmed a close contact with the pilot, who is a New Zealander in his 60s, working for a Taiwanese airline. Authorities had announced he was in quarantine on Sunday. They had done a lot of things to bring coronavirus under control to only imported cases, and they are isolated in hotels in the country. So the long streak has been broken. Let's come home to Nigeria, where the Lagos State government says you risk going to jail for 1 year if you do not wear your face coverings in public. The Lagos State government, in a Twitter post yesterday, said those who breach the COVID-19 regulations risk prosecution under the Infectious Diseases Prevention Regulations. And still in Nigeria, also yesterday, President Muhammadu Buhari extended the mandate of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 till March 2021. He gave the approval on yesterday at a meeting with members of the task force at the Villa in Abuja. President Buhari said this was necessitated because of the increase in numbers as well as the bid for vaccines. And that's a COVID update.
I mean, great one as always, this one. I'm really excited about, what's his name? I think it's Sergeant Bergen, the BioNTech guy, yesterday, saying that we know that if it goes down to the wire, we can just tweak a couple of things and look at this genome sequencing and put it as the vaccine out there for people. I mean, I think that lays to rest all of the wrangling going on, because it's been affecting the UK. And that's why France said, OK, don't come in. Anyway, some people say that's political, too. And that has been going back and forth for a while. So we're quite safe. We're quite secure. And all of this is coming at the backdrop of, President-elect Joe Biden taking his own jab. Dr. Anthony Fauci took his own jab yesterday. And these people are telling the world that this is safe, you can all take it and all of that. And it's good, because if we can build that mass herd immunity, to this, then we can start to fight it. I mean, Sweden has regretted the way they did theirs because the format was wrong. I mean, if they had the vaccine, they could have done it better, but not just saying, people should go around, because you don't understand the virus. I mean, the thesis of what Sweden was trying to do was what we'll normally do when we're quite young. Somebody picks up smallpox or chickenpox, you hold a party, they touch each other, they get the virus, they get immunity and all of that. But that's a virus that has an immunity for life. COVID doesn't have that immunity for life. I'm also very sad about the fact that, we can just talk about doomsday and say we're in perilous times, Nigerians should take cover. But what is the government doing most importantly? As of today, this pandemic has been on for over 6-7 months. We don't have a zero prevalence test reports. At first, you need a zero prevalence test report to even know where you're going, what is happening, how prevalent is this in society. We don't have that. I keep insisting on that. Maybe Dr. Ikeazu will release it tomorrow, or the NDDC will release it tomorrow. Secondly, we don't have all hands on deck. I would have thought to a large extent, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, that most of the money that were frittered away to buy rotten food and put them in warehouses, I would have thought that part of those monies too should be used for research and development. I would have thought that a lot more funding should have been given to that Redeemer Center in Ede, because they're doing some good work. You know, they were the first to sequence the genome of this. They were even the first to discover this strain way back. I would have thought they would have improved that. I would have thought that the government would have put in some sizable amount of money. Those vaccine candidates they say we have potential vaccine candidates. How we can even ramp up the vaccine center and things like that. I would have thought that we should make this colossal investment in healthcare at this point in time. I would have thought that the money that was spent on centers that were shut afterwards, COVID-19 centers, and if you ask for the money, they said billions, like the one close to my house, Landmark. They said over 1 billion was spent. After a couple of months, it was shut down. I would have thought those money will have been used to build primary healthcare center. Well, so the time we had all of this, what did we do? And like Dr. Abati would always ask, what are we doing now as regards vaccine? Are we going to be dependent on charity? What are we doing now as we speak?
Well, it is important, and it's a good development that President Buhari has extended the mandate of the Presidential Task Force after their meeting with him yesterday to present their report. So far, they presented 8 reports and 1 mid-report, and yesterday again they met with the President. Now, that mandate now being extended till 2021 is to give them an opportunity to deal with this issue of vaccine that Rufai Osini is talking about, because the President mandated them to work on the possibility of Nigeria getting vaccines and the strategy for distribution and for inoculation, which is something we've been talking about. The health minister himself, on the back of this, made it clear that Nigeria will need about 400 billion naira to be able to provide the vaccines. And he divided that into 2 phases, for 2021 and also for 2022. And it is good that in Lagos State, the governor is now talking about sanctions, because we've been seeing in Nigeria, people are not following the guidelines. Yeah. They don't listen to government because they don't trust government. Over the weekend, one nightclub in Ikeja had to be shut down, and the police commissioner had to go physically there. He led the team to go and shut down the place, because the governor had just announced that clubs, restaurants should be shut, and pubs, and that club still operated that evening. So unless you enforce it, and the governor's powers are derived from the Infectious Diseases Emergency Prevention Act, or rather Regulations 2020, which in itself is derived from the Quarantine Act. And Section 17 of that particular regulation says that, look, persons can be penalized. And I would like to see a situation whereby, the state government penalizes people if they don't wear masks, or if they obstruct, if they conduct themselves in a manner that could pose a threat to public health. But we hope that there will be no abuse, extortion, harassment of people. Now, with regard to, BioNTech saying that they can, produce another vaccine to treat the mutant, variant of coronavirus. Yes, that gives us hope. And the moment science is able to move ahead of the virus, then, of course, we'll be in a safe place. But what we know is that the T cells, still work when you use the existing vaccines. And that in itself is something to be optimistic about.